Hi everyone, Canoopsy here. The iPhone 12 and 12 Pro are incredibly similar phones, but they're still great phones. Are they worth it though? Do the batteries last? How fast are they and how good are the cameras? All those questions and many more will be answered in this video, my full review. Okay, so the iPhone 12 is $829 USD unlocked, and the iPhone 12 Pro is $1,000 USD unlocked. Just keep those two prices in mind as we make our way through this review. So, the design. This year Apple made many people's dreams, including my own, come true, switching back to the squared-off iPhone 5-esque design, and the 12 Pro especially reminds me of the iPhone 5. With its frosted glass back that looks like aluminum and hides basically all scratches and fingerprints exceptionally well. The regular iPhone 12 has a glossy glass back, which is fingerprint city, and the Pro has stainless steel sides which look and feel nice, but they pick up plenty of fingerprints as well. While the iPhone 12 has equally nice, I'd say, aluminum sides. Personally, I'm a fan of the matte finish on the 12 Pro, but both of these phones, they just feel so great to hold in your hand. They're chunky in a good way, they feel solid. It's hard to express just how good these phones feel. The edges not being rounded anymore aren't sharp, and even the swipe gestures are just as fluid as they are on any other home button-less iPhone. It's a really good feeling device. They also stand up by themselves. The speakers in each of these phones sound great, they're still just Lightning and not USB-C, and they have the same notch with Face ID that works as well as past years, meaning it's quick, it's smooth, but with masks it still doesn't work, and certain angles it doesn't work either. Now, the displays are quite nice. They're both 6.1 inches and they kind of have the exact same panel, except the Pro has a bit brighter of a panel. The displays are gorgeous though for watching videos, editing photos, scrolling around. They are stunning and they are both OLED. And that gives you deep contrasty blacks, stunning colors and sharpness. They are excellent panels. Now there is of course no high refresh rate on this phone, no 120Hz, no 90Hz unfortunately on this device. But having actually used plenty of those phones this year with those high refresh displays, honestly, I don't really miss it too much. Apple has done some magic with animations or just iOS optimizations, and these panels feel just under 90Hz in my opinion. They're really smooth, they're definitely not 120Hz or 144Hz like some phones, but they're still quite smooth. They look great. Now, one of the areas where the Pro has a slight lead is in its RAM capacity, 6GB of RAM versus 4GB of RAM on the standard iPhone 12. I've used both these phones alternating between them over the last few days, and honestly, I really can't tell a speed difference even though the 12 Pro has a bit more RAM. Like with multitasking, sure, extra RAM is wonderful, and over time in like a couple of years, having more RAM will definitely be great. But in the grand scheme of things right now, performance is basically the same, and it's excellent with the A14 processor. We all know by now that iPhones are usually pretty smooth and fast, and this year is no exception. Whether it's opening apps, going through apps and multitasking, playing games, rendering videos, everything is quick. I've used both these phones for quite a while now, and I can safely say there's no lag, drops in performance, none of that. They're both very fast. And the phone will be fast for years and also receive software updates for like 5 or 6 years down the road. And with really no other phone company can you guarantee that many years of software updates. One thing to note though is the storage capacity. The iPhone 12 starts at 64GB and tops out at 256GB, while the Pro starts at 128GB and tops out at 512GB. So just keep that in mind between these two phones and their pricing. And iOS 14 with those new widgets, the app drawer thing, Apple Music improvements, and all those new features are pretty cool. Apple definitely did widgets right. Okay, let's talk cameras. One of the areas that differentiates the Pro from the standard iPhone 12. Well, the front cameras first are the same, both 12 megapixels and take some pretty solid selfies, and the camera also works in night mode, so you can get clearer, sharper selfies in the dark if you want. It's pretty cool, I guess. The front camera also shoots 4K video, and it looks pretty good and sounds pretty good too. There is no autofocus in the front camera like some of Samsung's flagship phones, but then again, that is kind of a rare feature. Looks good though. Around back, both phones have 12 megapixel main cameras with an f1.6 aperture, as well as ultra-wide cameras at 12 megapixels as well, which have a 128-degree field of view, while the 12 Pro has a 2x telephoto zoom camera at 12 megapixels, plus a Lidar sensor. Overall, shots on these phones with their ultra-wide and main cameras are stellar. There's incredible dynamic range, accurate, beautiful, and natural colors, great sharpness. Shots are just excellent on these devices. The 12 Pro's 2x zoom camera is also excellent as well, taking great shots of things in the distance and also just things close up as well, giving a different effect than the standard kind of wide iPhone main camera. I also know quite a few iPhone photographers who shoot everything with the 2x zoom camera and not the wide or ultra wide because they're just too wide for certain shots. So if you're someone who needs a zoom camera, the 12 Pro is pretty much your only real choice in this case. Now, portrait mode on the 12 Pro is enhanced by Apple's Lidar Sensor, and I've taken a few comparison shots between the 12 and 12 Pro so you can kind of see the difference between what the Lidar Sensor does with sensing depth better and producing more natural bokeh blur. It's still not on the level of a Pixel device, at least in my opinion, for that artificial blur effect. At night, both phones take excellent photos in the dark with night mode, which works on both the main cameras and the ultra-wide cameras. And results are amazing, as you can see here. The f1.6 aperture definitely helps in the dark, alongside the long exposure night mode. And for video recording, they both shoot 4K video up to 60 frames per second with the new feature of 10-bit HDR Dolby Vision, but just up to 4K 30 on the regular 12 in HDR. This is basically a feature that is kind of niche for now. It's more for people who shoot plenty of pro-level iPhone video. What it does provide is more color detail, better dynamic range, and just better everything with video recording. However, many displays don't support HDR, and for many users, it will be kind of a headache. It's on by default in your settings, and some apps still don't support it, while video editing programs will require some extra work to make the footage look good and look usable. I shot most of my iPhone 12 day in the life video with Dolby Vision on, and it gave me better control while adjusting the colors, highlights, and contrast in each shot. I converted those clips from HDR to SDR with some of the tools in Final Cut. But besides all this Dolby Vision HDR talk, videos are stellar on this phone. Audio is crisp and clear, dynamic range is top notch, and the stabilization feels like you're on a gimbal, but doesn't have the unnatural smoothness that some phones have with this stabilization. Now, doing all the things I've mentioned throughout this video, we gotta talk about battery life. The 12 and 12 Pro pretty much have the exact same battery life, as they do have the exact same battery size. For my testing with days at home on Wi-Fi, I can make it through a full day of usage. Watching videos, going on socials, taking calls, replying to emails, with all that stuff I usually hit around 20 or 30% by around 10 or 11 o'clock at night. And I usually start using my phone at around 7 o'clock in the morning. On days away from home, really pushing this device, using 5G, taking lots of photos or videos, using maps, all that stuff, I have to usually charge the phone up at around 8 or 9 o'clock in the evening if I still have plans for the rest of the day. And speaking of 5G, we kinda have it here in Canada. I'm in Toronto, we have some decent speeds, but not on the level of the US's crazy, insanely fast 5G speeds. Personally, I'm a heavy user and I can make it through most days with these phones and their batteries with mixed medium to heavy usage, and you should be fine as well. Probably. Now, this is not one of those phones where you don't have to worry about battery life and the phone just lasts forever. You definitely want to bring a charger with you just in case. The phone really should last you a full day of usage, but for some people, it's been a bit mixed. Now for charging, the phone still does charge over Lightning and does support fast charging, although it is BYOC. Bring your own charger, as there is not one in the box. It also supports Qi wireless charging but doesn't support reverse charging like some Android phones. Although according to some FCC filings, this could change in the future, maybe with a software update and probably just for future AirPods. But it does, however, support MagSafe charging, a magnetic Qi wireless charging puck that snaps onto the back of your phone and charges it. It charges up decently fast, and you can still use your phone while it charges, which is pretty good, not awkward at all. Right now, MagSafe is cool because magnets are cool. Magnets have always been cool, but I probably wouldn't recommend buying the charger right now as it's just not really necessary. The future of MagSafe, though, is quite exciting based on what some accessory manufacturers have told me is, in fact, possible. Okay, so the iPhone 12 and 12 Pro are excellent overall phones. They have beautiful designs, excellent displays, killer performance, solid cameras, and some pretty cool features thrown in as well. But the 12 Pro versus the 11 Pro from last year, there really aren't that many massive new changes. But from the 11 to the 12, there are definitely quite a few changes between these two devices. But that being said, most people aren't buying a new iPhone every single year. But for people who have an iPhone 6S, 7, 8, and even the 10 or 10R, these devices are quite a large upgrade with plenty of new features, and you're going to definitely notice some of those changes. And the final comparison between the 12 and 12 Pro, the only differences really here are the design and build, the extra camera and LiDAR, the base storage options, and other very minor things. I probably wouldn't recommend the Pro this year for the extra $200. There really isn't that much of a difference between the Pro and the non-Pro. As much as I love the telephoto camera and stronger build, I just can't recommend spending that extra money. If you were hoping for bigger changes this year, like no notch, 120Hz, maybe USB-C, Apple Pencil support, it didn't happen this year, maybe next year. But if you've been holding off quite a while for an iPhone upgrade, you're gonna love these new phones. They're a ton of fun to use, great cameras, excellent design, beautiful displays, all that stuff, and they're also just really fun to use as well. I want to hear your thoughts on the iPhone 12 and 12 Pro in the comments down below. Based on their features and their prices, which one do you personally prefer? Let me know. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and hit the join button next to the subscribe button to become a channel member today. You help support the channel, make these videos possible, you get some great perks and the wallpapers from this video, past videos, and future videos. Check it out. And that's it. Thank you for watching.